I think it's time for the next part of the late Victorian outfit. I'm going to make, yes, another vest. Hello, it's Icy back with the next bit. Now, should I be making the vest yet, or should I be making a shirt to wear under the vest? There are reasons I am making the vest next, which I hope will become apparent at some point, possibly in the making of this video, but maybe afterwards. But we're going to make the vest first. So if you have been hanging out here, or if you're new, welcome. Please do check out the video where previously I made this vest, and it's really, really cool, and I absolutely love it, and it fits me extremely well, and it fits me extremely well even while wearing a corset. So what I'm going to do is I am going to make I still have the original sloper slash mock-up from making this one. So I'm going to make a vest with a raven on the back, because we must stick with the goth vibe for this entire outfit. So I've done some little drawings and I've got some ideas. Can we see that? Yes, we can. Okay, so see this one here? This is the vibe that I'm going for. So cut in quite dramatically across the shoulders of the back, and then the bird goes across the back and then wraps around underneath, and then does the wings basically wrap around the body. Can I do this? I have no idea, but we're gonna try. I think it should look pretty cool. I think it will. Will it work for the Victorian project? It will from the front. Will it work from the back? Yeah, it's fine. So the general plan for this is I'm going to take the sloper and I'm literally going to draw on it the design. Then once I've drawn it on, I'm going to cut it out on the design lines and turn those into pattern pieces. My main aim for this is I don't want those shapes to be appliqued onto the vest. I want them to be pattern pieces. In a sense, I'm kind of creating a quilt almost by actually having sort of, you know, the bird body shape and the arms and the wings all are separate pieces that all need to be sewn together. It will be remarkably fiddly. It will need to be so precise. One of the techniques that I worked out for myself doing this one is if I sew, rather than just marking out with chalk or pencil or whatever, if I actually sew along the seam lines in a contrast color in a big, moderately big stitch, then as I'm lining it up, I can actually, and pinning it, I can feel the two sort of proper seam lines with my fingers and then make sure that they're accurate, and then just unpick all that later. It worked really well to get these super dramatic lines on this one. It did actually work quite well. So we're going to try that. Now, it is going to be a shawl collar again because I love it. I just love the shawl collar. I think it's amazing and it does really suit me. I think what I'm going to aim to do though is make this double-breasted. We see how we go basically. So I do need to do at least a small amount of not just cutting up the base one, but a bit of actual pattern modification as well. So I'm going to add some extra panels to the front of the sloper so I can actually draw on it and cut it out and then try it on and check everything sits where it needs to sit, basically. So materials. So the front part of it, so the kind of the bit you will see while looking at somebody from the front is going to be, in the main, it's going to be this black suiting material that the Victorian skirt is made out of. So it's part of a match set. So that will be the front part and the top of the back. The collar, I haven't decided yet. I'm actually thinking I have some of this, technically, upholstery velvet that I made into a cape, which I've since never worn. It's a short sort of hip length cape. It's very impractical and not super flattering for some reason. So I'm thinking about sacrificing this to make like a velvet collar. Not fully decided yet. I think that would be very nice and also wildly painful to sew, because this was the absolute worst to sew. Absolutely. But it was 2 layers of velvet together as opposed to 1 layer of velvet plus something else. So I'm hoping. I might also use this for the body of the raven and possibly kind of the wing arches as well. Haven't 100% decided. Some of this will just have to be, we see how we go when we put it all together. Some of the other bits and pieces that I've picked up over the last, I mean, I've had this general idea for a while, a month, couple of months. So I picked up a few other bits and pieces as well. I have a silver metallic sparkly table runner. It's quite stiff, and while I would not use this on its own, this underneath, for example, some $1 off-cut organza could give me quite an interesting take on black and grey. The other thing I want to try maybe with this is making kind of like textured leaf shapes that flutter. A lot of this is going to be experimentation. I'm going to try some things and then I'm going to go, yeah, that looks awesome, or wow, okay, no. So we'll try a couple of those bits. I've also got some shinies as well. I have, from the same offcut pile, this rather fabulous grey violet sequins. This might go, once again, not directly used, but possibly underneath the organza to mute it, but still give some shine. That was also $1. I was very happy. This one was not. This was nearly full price. But I have this really interesting, much darker, rather gorgeous sequins. Now these are in sort of loop shapes, but for example, a strip of this cut on between the diagonals could give great feather shapes as well. If I don't use it for this, I will use it for something else. It's only, I think it's about 50 centimeters, so it wasn't too bad. And finally, I have this bag that I spotted in a secondhand shop. It's got this really interesting wavy texture. It's plasticky, but it is kind of, you know, like all kind of quilted together. Whether this gets used or not, no idea, but it could add some really interesting textural interest. This is definitely on the maybe, possibly not pile, but we see how we go. So that's the plan. I think it's going to be really interesting. Very excited to see what happens, but join me on this journey and let's see how we go. Experiments with feather making. So what I think I'm going to use is the crystal organza offcut. What I've done is cut out using this template I've made. I've basically folded it in half and then cut around this side. Then I've used this slit to sew a line down the middle in dark grey
because I want a little bit of contrast. And then I've used outside a lighter to just burn and melt the edges of this to give a feather shape. So it's double layer and it's kind of crinkled a little around the bottom here, and I'm really pleased. I think that's going to work super well. So I've made a couple of extra templates. So this is the underwing shape, so where the feather sort of section will be. And as you can see, if I make like, I guess probably four the larger ones, and then just work down and arrange them along here, I think that could work really, really well. The other thing I could try, if I've got enough fabric, because I've really just got like this much, that's it. And for some reason, crystal organza is sold out at my local fabric store, and I don't really want to order. I really don't want, like, I don't need much more than that. So I might even try putting a couple of slits in here as well, and then try burning that just to see what that does, to see if that gives more of a feather effect. But I think this might work. So the plan would be that these would all be anchored like across this top line here, and then the lower part they'd all just sort of float free. I might the one thing I might change is possibly, because so that's the side seam, so that's the side of the body, and then this section will wrap around the front to basically the top button will be sort of here basically. So maybe these front ones won't have the feathers kind of hanging down. Possibly it'll still have the texture, but I might just sew them into this section. We'll see how that goes. But I think that might just work. I'm really happy.
am extremely pleased with how things are progressing so far. The back is done and the design has worked so well. I'm ecstatic with how well it's turned out. I thought I was making a risky decision choosing to use the velvet, but because mostly I'm not sewing velvet against velvet directly, and where I am it's actually only in fairly small chunks, it's actually been fine. I haven't had any weird gathers. I've been extremely generous with the amount of pins I've been using to hold everything together, and I've been tensioning through the sewing machine, and that's been okay. There's been a regrettable amount of hand sewing involved in this, mostly just with tacking down sort of the velvet sections, because of course I can't top stitch in order to sort of, and I can't really iron the velvet, so I need some way of holding the velvet in place. So I'm basically catch stitching all the hems into the back of the velvet, where I've actually also put on a separate piece of stiffening that's not iron on, it's just sort of sew in, so I can catch stitch into that so it's not showing through. That's working really very nicely. I hate hand sewing, and there's been a lot of it. So yeah, so this section here is just pinned on. This is the collar. So ultimately, I mean, it's the same material as the rest of the vest, but this will be the lining. But I've just pinned it on to get an idea of shape. Looking good. Fit size-wise feels pretty accurate, actually. It is the right way through here. It's not too tight at the back. It feels okay at the waist. It's a little cut, a little high here. Like it's a little high on the waistline, but I'm wearing it with this skirt, so it should be fine. Or I'll just wear it with higher pants if I'm ever wearing this with pants. It feels correct. This might need a little bit of trimming here, the point at the front, just to make sure that overlaps correctly. I am pleasantly surprised. I didn't think the collar was like I did a thing and then tried it on and went, oh no, the collar's not wide enough. I think it'll be okay. I might probably sew it right at the edge of the fabric because I want it as wide as possible. Really, I mean, I could have had it another third wider, I think. Far too late now. I'd have to cut out. It's not too late now. But I'm okay with this. I don't necessarily think a wider collar would have been better. I think this will be fine. It's not technically too late because I have more of this velvet that I could use for the collar, which is so nice. And for the understructure section, I've got heaps more of this material. I've got enough to make like another skirt or a suit jacket or something. Maybe another project. So the shoulders I think could be slightly narrower, but I can take those in when I actually just sew it. But it's looking really very nice. So let me give you a quick demo of where the back is right now. Oh my god, I have a bird with wings on my back and it's good. It's really good. So a couple of things with what's going on in the back. Here, this is a little loose. It's a little gapey here. I'm not quite sure what happened there. It probably means that the mock-up, the original block pattern, is probably not quite fitted around the back. However, it's a very easy fix. I just need to basically I just need to unpick where the wing's arm, I suppose, meets into the wing's shoulder, and then just take that in by about 1 centimeter, like just sort of angle it slightly. That will take care of it. It will tuck it into the back of the shoulders and the gaping will disappear. So that's a super easy fix. Of course, it does mean I need to unpick all my hand sewing. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And apart from that, I think it's fine. So what I'm going to do, I am going to sew down all of the feathers. I might leave these ones at the shoulders free possibly, but all the ones here I'm actually going to sew onto the grey under fabric, sort of the wing fabric, mainly because it's like this is a little odd here. It's a little odd, and if I leave them flappy, I'm missing like where the small amount of waist that I have. It is completely hidden. The other thing which I didn't take into account was where this kind of, I decided to have the tail be free floating so I could have like an actual tail shape. But if I do that, what happens is I miss sort of the curve in of my back and out over my butt, which is also one of my more flattering features. Because of course I was thinking the waistline was kind of higher, but it's not, it's right at the bottom of the vest. So I think I need to do something about that. I can either basically remove the extra material and get rid of kind of the gathers and the pleats that kind of create the tail, and just make it flat, which is one option, or I can sew some stuff down it. I haven't quite decided what's going on with that yet. Basically, I think I'm going to add the front collar sections and everything, and then make decisions. There's a lot of hand sewing to catch down all of the sections through the center, which I've left because that's basically my only opportunity for adjusting fit at the back, is down that back section, because there's no side seams. There's no real way. I mean, I could introduce side seams in here if I wanted, but I don't want to. I don't want to leave everything nice and smooth. The other option I have for fitting is down these front seams here, and I think they're certainly size-wise, I think they're in the right spot. So I think it's okay. So basically making a perfectly almost fitting mock-up and then drawing on it and then cutting that apart and turning into a pattern has been working very well. So next step is to actually, get the collar and the collar lining on properly, and then we go from there. done. It's finished. And I think this vest is honestly the best thing I have ever made. It is probably the most complicated, the most creative, the most difficult, moderately, the most hand sewing in anything I've ever made. And I think it is the thing that has given me the most satisfaction to finish. Just from the whole process of coming up with the idea for the crow on the back to the execution, it has been a fantastic process. I think the thing that has been maybe the most rewarding was having an idea in my head and executing it. And the execution looks like the thing in my head. That is so wildly satisfying. That alone makes me happy. But this thing fits. It really actually fits wonderfully. Going to the trouble of teaching myself how to make a sloper, or a base pattern first, then sticking that base pattern on the mannequin and like literally drawing the design on that and then cutting it out, then taking that, turning it into a paper pattern, absolutely worked. It really, really 100% worked. If you need to do something similar, I would recommend that as a process. Literally make it in calico, chop the thing up, because I still have no side seams. This whole section across here is just one piece of material, but it fits beautifully across my, like down the side of my body and over the hips. Admittedly, it's fairly straight there, but it still worked. So yeah, I'm really, really happy. And actually one thing that looks great, which honestly I didn't think would, is the fact this is double-breasted. I am generously endowed here at the front. Double-breasted stuff doesn't necessarily look great, but it does. It fits, it's not gaping, it's not pulling. I'm so happy. Anyway, it's been a journey. It's been a slow, somewhat meditative, satisfying journey. I didn't try to rush. I was only doing maybe, there is a lot of hours in this thing, I have to say. It's like a couple of hours a night, usually. Just, did all my other stuff and then 1.5 or so hours each night. There was definitely a few daytimes as well, as there's been school holidays, and I've been off work and all sorts of stuff, so I've had time to put in a couple of hours in the morning, here and there. But anyway, it's very risque not wearing this with a shirt, but I mean, I kind of had to show you that the wings of the crow match the wings tattooed across my back, obviously. Oh, goodness me. What's next for me? So, I'll probably take a week or two off between projects because I've spent a lot of time sewing. Pretty much almost every night has been sewing, and I've enjoyed it. But now I need to do some other stuff in my evenings for a little while. I'm behind on digital projects and things, so I need to catch up with those as well. Then I think the next project is to actually fix this skirt. I know that this skirt is literally the first part of this Victorian project. And I haven't even made it to the end of the Victorian project, and I'm going to make some modifications. But what I've realized is there is too much volume in the back and not enough in the sides. So this doesn't have the proper profile. It's kind of should come out more here. So that's the plan is I'm going to fix that up. I might even zhuzh the skirt up a little bit more now that I know what I can do. But yeah, and then other projects after that, there is at least a shirt waist to go with the whole thing. There is a chatelaine to be made. There is a hat to reblock, possibly. And depending, I do have a little bit of material left of this. I don't know if I have enough, but if there is enough, then maybe a jacket as well, like a walking jacket to go with. I don't know how it works with a double-breasted vest underneath, so I'll have to have a little think about that. But, oh, and at some point in the future, not part of the Victorian project, but as part of some other project, I might have to make a hooded cape with crow feathers on it. Because, man, these organza feathers worked like, my goodness. At some point I might make a separate video on how to make those, but I cannot buy organza right now for the life of me. Just black organza does not exist in Sydney. Not in a physical store. Even an online store, it doesn't seem like it's a thing. And I don't want to pay postage, so. Anyway. Thank you very much for joining me for what is bound to be an excessively long video. If you made it all the way to the end and saw the result, thank you for watching. If you have not, please subscribe here on YouTube. It's very much appreciated. You can also find me at Instagram, where I do post a bit of sewing stuff as well as other things that I get up to in my life. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.